have the courage to talk about what's going on,
Hmm.
even though someone is saying, I'm going to die in my house and go out for feet first. Even though somebody says, nope, I'm not leaving my home. Even though somebody says, we're fine.
Yep.
Still have the courage to push through that because people aren't fine.
Welcome to the Answers for Elders radio show.
And welcome back, everyone, to Answers for Elders Radio Network. And I am here with Daphne Davis, and we are talking about who will care for the caregiver. And obviously, this is a very poignant topic. And Daphne, you had mentioned something earlier about getting the family together in our first segment. I would really like to go back to that point. Obviously, sometimes things happen and we just don't even realize what's going on because we're so busy with our own life. How are you observing that? And how can families, I guess, not live in denial? Because I think that's really what goes on.
I think that's a good word to use is denial, or there can be some observance, but not knowing how to broach a hard conversation or how to bring your siblings into the conversation.
Hmm.
I have been helping families for 25 years, and I see this almost in every family now.
Yep.
It's not the exception to the rule, but that people are either so busy and not busy just to be busy, but it takes a lot of
It's
attention right
full.
now. So I don't
Yeah.
want to discredit any of what's going on for adult children and power of attorneys. But we are in a time now that, and give me a little bit of grace here, that we need to just stop and decide what are our highest values for me individually, or for our family, or for my relationship with my mom and dad.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
for you to have a benchmark or a litmus or an understanding of what your highest value is, and then work toward that highest value. And I'm going to just
Hmm.
inject one. And one would be that I want my parents to be as happy and as healthy and safe as possible
Yeah.
while honoring their own wishes.
Yeah.
That could be a very standard
Hmm.
highest value.
Hmm.
I'm going to tweak it a little bit now. And you, as an advocate for whoever those people are, parents or otherwise, tweak that in terms of how can I help them gracefully get into this next chapter of life and still honor their wishes.
Yeah.
Because sometimes we have to be very proactive, and sometimes we have to say the words that are not easy to say. And so I'd like to give you just some ideas of how to do that. As an adult child, it could be mom and dad. This is a tough place for me to be at, and I respect you completely, but I'm seeing the following, and I would love to have a conversation about this without anybody getting defensive if we can.
Yeah.
And throw some humor in it, if that's your personality. Or if you're a friend and you see something from a distance, maybe it's a couple or somebody that you see at
Hmm.
church that's a caregiver for everybody in the church. Um, be able to say to them, whoever that is, Sally Ann, my heart is kind of hurting for you right now, and I am your friend, and I feel almost a responsibility to kind of have a conversation. We can have it once and be done,
Hmm.
but it's on my heart, and I really want to point out some observations that I have. These are words off the top of my head, and I don't know your personality. These are my personality words, but have the courage to talk about what's going on,
Hmm.
even though someone is saying, I'm going to die in my house and go out for feet first. Even though somebody says, nope, I'm not leaving my home. Even though somebody says, we're fine,
Yep.
still have the courage to push through that because people aren't fine. This is
Right.
what I do for a
They're not.
living.
Yeah.
I talk to people all the time. I could tell you story after story. I have 70-year-old, 70 plus year old adult children having to work with their 90 plus year old mom. And those three children are in the hospital, siblings. And they're saying to me after the first meeting, Daphne, you need to teach classes so that we know what we're supposed to do. We didn't know that we had the right to do this, that, or the other thing.
Hmm.
We didn't
Hmm.
know the signs to see what was happening to my mom as she lived
Right.
independently at an assisted living.
Yeah.
And so all of those things, it takes energy. And I know we're the sandwich generation right now. I know you've got a job and kids perhaps or grandkids that you're taking care of, but there's a wisdom and there's a sense of peace in being proactive,
Right.
gathering information before you're in the thick of an emotional decision that has to be made.
Right. Right.
And so I implore upon you to have that courage.
Hmm.
Dig deep within. There's many of me's in the United States. There's many of me's that can help you and guide you and walk you through this. Sometimes there's what we call parish nurses within a church body or in a Catholic parish.
Hmm.
Reach out to those people. There's more wisdom than shame in asking for help.
Exactly.
Asking for help, you will secure independence. Tell that to your parents. It's an oxymoron, Dad, but the more help you allow, the longer you're going to be independent. It's
That's true.
true. It's true.
That's absolutely true. And, the point that I think you're making with all of this is be bold, speak up. I think a lot of times we tend not to make, approach someone that we're concerned about because we feel like it's not our business. Well, if you care about someone, have that conversation. And everyone, Daphne and I will be right back right after this. Did you know that you can discover hundreds of podcasts in our library on senior care? So visit our website and discover our decision guides that will help you also navigate decision making. Find us at answersforelders.com.